Well, good morning. This is a special day. We're here to announce $35 million in donations from 7 companies to rebuild Detroit's neighborhoods. How about that? And we believe this is the largest single corporate donation for neighborhood redevelopment in the city of Detroit's history. It's happening right here today. Just to give you a quick sense of what does this mean, because what it means is this, that we're going to have investment in vacant storefronts to put in shops and restaurants and what used to be our neighborhood shopping quarters. We're going to take vacant apartment buildings and get them renovated and move families in. We're going to take vacant lots and build new apartment buildings with affordable housing so that people of all incomes can live in the neighborhood. We're going to upgrade the parks and the streetscapes. That's what we're going to do with this money.
That there are discussions for that queue line to keep moving on down Woodward Avenue.
Well, we'd love to see that also, obviously. It's a major investment to do that. That's off in the future. But for now, today, it's a great day today for these companies that are here, including Penske Corporation, to step up, commit our dollars, but also commit our hearts and our hands to how we're going to help the neighborhoods out, because we cannot lose focus. And also, very importantly as well, as I mentioned, is we can't focus on displacing people. People have to continue to live here. Despite the investment that we may make, we're here to be their partners. We're here to work beside them day to day. Commitment of these companies like ourselves to commit $1 million a year for the next 5 years, and we're going to do more. This is a starting point for us. If you know Roger at all and what we've done in our city so far, whether it be downtown or Belle Isle, whatever, it's a continuation of giving and involvement. We're just not going to write a check and say, here you go. We want to be involved in helping develop solutions. So we're going to listen with the city. The city's going to be our leader in all of this. But we're excited to be here today and excited to help these neighborhoods that need it the most. Well, you know, the mayor came to Roger about a month and a half ago and said, you know, you've done so much for our city, and now we've got initiatives going on, and what we had was 3 neighborhoods. We want to make it 10 neighborhoods. So those extra 7 neighborhoods were something that we said, let's be part of that. And we haven't acknowledged what neighborhood that we're going to be involved in yet. We're going to do some more vetting around that, including, as I mentioned, I've already attended some community meetings. Nobody knew who I was. I sat and listened, and a lot of people have a lot of different opinions about what they want for their neighborhood. So we can't go in there and cast our dispersions on these people. We have to listen and do it with the help of the city, with our investment we're going to make. So we came involved because the mayor asked us to. We thought it was a profound and needed thing. Because as I mentioned, a strong Detroit is important to a strong Michigan, and a strong neighborhood is important to a strong Detroit. And now we're bringing it together. Well, we haven't named it that was going to be yet, but we have a good idea, but we have some more work to do. I want to continue to listen to the citizens and listen to this city. The city is going to help us decide where best we can focus our resources. And you know, this is not something where we're going to come in and say we're going to do this, this, and this. That's not the way this works. The citizens are going to tell us how we're going to help them. And the neighbors are going to tell us how we're going to help them. We're not going to go the other way around. And I also mentioned we can't have anybody displaced in this process. We got to bring multifamily housing to these areas. We got to fix the houses. We got to fix the parks. We got to fix the streetscapes. And this investment has helped us do that.
Vacant storefronts, because when people moved out in 2008, 2009, there were no customers, and then the businesses moved out, and the vacant storefronts have been depressing. And so I think the big thing I hear now from neighbors is, when am I going to have a place to go get a cup of coffee? When am I going to have a shop up in my neighborhood? I don't have to drive to the suburbs. And what this does now is start to build to that next step. And people will get excited. One storefront.
How do you get to those residents?
So Maurice, you need to talk to Maurice Cox about that. But they've been having 200, 300 people at these meetings. So they're scheduled through the neighborhood associations. And Maurice can tell you, but there's no shortage of people in these 10 neighborhoods going to meetings.
Do you expect to get more corporate business behind this effort?
So what happened was we started with 3, and other folks said, let's wait and see how this works. Then when they drove down Kercheval and saw the redevelopment, when they came down to Livernois, they came to Ella Fitzgerald Park, and they said, this is working. And so now we got 7 more. If we start to get progress in these 7 neighborhoods, am I going to go to 10 more companies? Absolutely. But people will invest where they see success. And right now the business community is seeing a success. And for a long time, people have said, I love all the investment in downtown and midtown. When's the investment coming to my neighborhood? And now I think we're convincing people it's good business to come into the neighborhoods.
Foundations are already on board.
Foundations have been terrific. So Kresge came in with $50 million off the bat. I'm going to let the other foundations do their announcements on their own timetable.
Give us your name, spell it, and what you do.
I'm Maurice Cox, that's M-A-U-R-I-C-E, Cox, C-O-X, and I am the Director of Planning and Development for the City of Detroit.
Okay, this is a pretty big project going on that you guys have in your hands. You want to tell us how this concept came about?
Yeah, I think it came about the desire for the city to change the conversation about the recovery of Detroit. And we've always known that there can be no recovery if it's not centered in the neighborhoods of Detroit. And so you have the downtown and it's humming along, and that's the heart of any city. But the soul of a city is its neighborhoods. And so we've been, challenged to find a way not just to come in and invest in neighborhoods, but to do that with the consent of residents who are there. Which means you got to meet, you got to get on the same page, you got to put your individual interests aside in favor of the collective interests, and begin to look at investments that will impact everyone. And then once you identify those investments, you got to figure out a way how to fund them. And that's what today was all about, to have corporate Metro Detroit focusing on neighborhoods. That's a new phase of the evolution of this recovery. And it's not about them prioritizing what gets done. It was about residents coming together and saying, this is important to me. This park is a place where I want my kids to be able to go to. This street is the street that I want to be my neighborhood shopping district. I want to be able to get on a bike and safely get to the riverfront. I want to be able to age in place and have options for housing when our elders want to downsize. I want the neighborhood iconic buildings to be rehabbed and find their purpose again. So it's really about neighborhood regeneration at the very, very core, and developing an atmosphere where all hands are on deck. Residents are not doing it alone. Government is not going to do it alone. All hands on deck. Corporate, philanthropic, public, private, residents, we can make this happen. And I think today was evidence of a new evolution of neighborhood revitalization in Detroit.
Now, if you have to recommend to residents of Detroit that feel that they've been left out, that haven't been able to make these meetings because they don't know where they are, when they go up, what would you recommend? How are they going to get engaged?
Yeah, well, I think, it's very, very important that they are in the room when these decisions are being made. I would say, join a block club. And if you don't have a block club, found a block club, because the block clubs are plugged in. They're the ones that bring their neighbors to these meetings. We do everything from informational material. We'll go door to door to try to get folks to come out. But not everybody wants to come out to a meeting. And so we've been developing like email blasts. And if you're not, you're not on email, do you have Facebook? Other ways to just get information. The Department of Neighborhoods just put out a monthly newsletter, not a quarterly newsletter that will summarize all of the things, and this will be mailed directly to people's houses. So we have to have as many channels for communication as possible. Thank you for being one of those channels to get the word out that something transformational is happening in Detroit's neighborhoods. Great.
And,
hey!
how are you?
Good.
She's been here all the time.
So you've been through this process with 3 other neighborhoods
Yeah.
already. So
And we're in the process of working with 3 more. We're working with Jefferson Chalmers right now, Banglatown. We're working with Russell Woods, Narden Park. So we're planning with a group of residents who are going to be ready 6-8 months from now for the kinds of investments that we're announcing in Old Redford, Grandmont Rosedale, and Livernois McNichols, and Southwest, and the Villages Island View. So we're looking for about 10 areas with sustained investment so that if you don't live in one of those neighborhoods, you know what revitalization looks like, you know it's possible, you know the city can deliver on its promises, and then we're just going to keep rolling through the city till we've touched all neighborhoods.
when do you anticipate the next group of?
Well, we've got 3 neighborhoods that we're starting in 2019. Warrendale, Cody Rouge, East English Village, and in the north, 7 Mile and Gratiot are the next in line. And these plans take about 9 to 12 months, and they take dozens of meetings. And then coming out of those plans are always a series of projects, actionable items that the community has come to a consensus about. And then our job is to find the strategic investment. And what you saw today was, $35 million of investment that will leverage another $70 million so that we can deliver what we said we would do.
So this is an opportunity really for people in the neighborhoods to help breathe new life into their own neighborhoods.
Absolutely. I think it's the reward for residents who have stuck it out for this city for thick and thin. They've held it together. They've stayed the course, very often just rolling up their own sleeves and doing it themselves. Never thought that government could help or that corporations could help. And now we're seeing an alignment like Detroit has never seen. And so I have a lot of confidence that we are on to something quite special.
Very good.
Did you get the mayor?
Yes. Alicia George, Alicia George, George.
Okay. And tell us a little bit about what's going on here today.
Well, what's going on now is some exciting news about economic development in the city of Detroit, but in the neighborhoods, in our neighborhoods, on our blocks.
How does that make you feel?
That makes me feel hopeful. That makes me feel like being a lifelong Detroiter, I grew up here. I've lived east, west, north end. And now all of those areas where I grew up will be touched by this economic development, by this project. And so if I feel that, I know other Detroiters will want to feel that as well. It's remarkable. It's remarkable. But I had a dream of having my own business. It's been a roller coaster. But today is a good day as a payoff. It's a great return. Sometimes you don't think that you're going to see a return in your investment, but I'm blessed to have both now.
Well, what do you say to those people who may be on the edge of losing hope? What do you tell them?
Don't lose hope. As soon as that edge is when the blessing is going to come. Don't stop. Stay right there. I know it's hard. We all got a story. We got to keep the lights on. We got to pay our mortgages, our rent, put gas in the car, food on the table, raise our babies. But if you have a dream and you want to live in this city and you want to be a homeowner, stay on the course. Don't lose hope. It's coming.
Very good.
Is that okay?